Okay, welcome one and all. We've heard about companies taking us for a ride, but can companies be taken for a ride? So we have experts here to help us safeguard our businesses and ensure that we have the best practices in place to ensure that our employees, our businesses, our finances, all are safe. Okay, so we have two experts here in their own right, Mr. Sesha Prakash, KUSUMA, and Dr. Kumar, both with rich experience, and especially Mr. Sesha Prakash with over 40 years of experience. And he's been a guiding light to most of us in this industry. He's been a trainer immaculate, who's trained a lot of professionals all over the world. In fact, I was just having a conversation uh, with him a little bit earlier, and I'm just amazed with the number of places that he's been and the number of people he's helped stay secure. And we have Dr. Kumar here as well. So he's a doctor who treats information security illnesses. That way we have a lot of learnings and consultation that we can do with him in terms of our ailments, in terms of information security.
I like
Welcome.
I like the way you put it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So we have an interactive session here. We'll have poll questions coming in as well. So wherein if you have any specific questions, you can ask the experts and we can take it forward. Let's have Mr. Sesha Prakash and Dr. Kumar say a few words before we start off with the session.
Dr. Ram, the space is yours.
First, you, sir. You can start,
Go
then I'll follow you.
ahead, please. I will take it definitely.
Cool. I'm very happy to be part of this panel discussion. I'm thankful to Mr. Deepak and Suhas for inviting me over. I hope this is going to be very interactive, very insightful. I'm very much keen, as much as all of us, to hear from Mr. Sesha Prakash. He has a lot of experience, and I'm sure we'll all benefit by this interaction. Thank you.
Same here. I really should thank Deepak, Gorisco, Suhas, Matthew, and the team who made this possible. And it's purely my privilege and pleasure to be here as a part of this particular show. And I hope whatever I share should sort of be an eye opener to you from your business's perspective. And that is the main intention of this whole uh, organized webinar, so that people stay protected. As a person from information security and as a person who intends to protect organizations, I take a lot of effort and energy in trying to convey why organizations and the people should be secure and how it will help them in the long run. A business, when it is incorporated, has to stay. It has to stay over a lot more than the life of the promoters, probably for generations. So if that's what the intention is, then the business has to be protected right from its inception. So with these few words, I hand over to Suhas to take it over from here, please.
Thank you, Shay sir, and thank you, Dr. Ram, for your quick words. What we can do is I will just run a couple of poll questions, and then we can go ahead with the discussions based on the ideas that come out. So can you just take the poll that is there? So can you see the questions?
No, this is not coming as a poll, no? It's coming as...
Yeah, we don't have an option to choose.
Okay.
It has to, yeah, you have to have radio buttons. I think so.
Okay. Okay. I am not too sure why the question is the radio buttons are not popping up. Okay.
Sorry, Suhas, Soundarya, I could see the radio buttons and choose as well. Maybe it's
As
grayed
a
out for
host,
selective or few people.
yeah, I guess as a host and co-host, we may not be able to see the
Okay.
radio button, Suhas.
Got you.
Okay.
Looks like.
Perfect.
Okay.
So you can just quickly select and we can take it forward. I will close it in the next 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I couldn't fill up all of them. There were 4 of them. I reached 4th. But
Okay, I'll relaunch polling then. Sorry. So I will keep it open for say about 5 minutes, just to ensure that everyone.
thanks, Suhas.
Sure, that helps.
Sure. Okay. Okay, I think we have received quite a few responses already. 50% of us have voted so far. Okay, 75% of us have voted. Okay, I think, yeah, let me close the polling in the next 5 seconds so that we can go ahead with the responses. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay. I will share the results now. They make pretty interesting reading, considering the audience that we have right here. So most of us are aware as to businesses can be exploited, so on and so forth. So is it possible for your business identity to be misused? We have a few people who have stated that no, probably they have good practices already. And there are a few people who have said yes, we'll come to that. And some of them don't know whether their businesses can be taken over. Okay. Conmen can possibly impersonate a person, but not a business identity as a whole. We have an interesting response here. False. We'll come to that. We'll have the experts let us know which is the right answer. What are shell companies? It's quite important for us to know what are shell companies because they are the ones which come up in news very often, and how not to deal with them. because you can get into trouble. Companies can get into trouble when you deal with them. Okay, and who are disgruntled employees? Okay, we have interesting answers. So we have a few people who do not know what industrial espionage is, so we can touch base on that. And again, there is a point of concern here where employees are susceptible to social engineering. So we can speak about that as well as to how employees can be safeguarded in terms of social engineering. Dr. Ram, you could start with your.
Sure. I have a presentation just to have a better impact for the folks on the session. Can you confirm if you can see my screen?
Yeah, now yes.
Okay, I would want to start by giving a background to the booming cybercrime economy. And this is very, very fast growing, borderless, where geography is history and the conviction rates are low and highly rewarding industry today. It has taken over, it's overtaken the drug running business today. And by 2025, it is poised to become a 10.5 trillion industry. Already, currently, it is a $6 trillion industry. So, the numbers are pretty mind boggling. And in this, one of the key components is the identity theft. We all know on how many different ways identity theft happens. Now, very much focused on companies, because companies at the end of the day are comprising people, and companies all the time have tons of personal information. We have seen multiple times how data breaches lead to disclosing huge amount of personally identifiable information, among other things. Very recently, as recent in the last 10 days, we have seen how Facebook and LinkedIn data were disclosed. So much of personal data is at stake. And it is not just about insiders leaking info, or it's a data breach. It's about criminals misusing these identities for financial gain. And if you target a company, the stakes are very high. It's more tempting because you get a bunch of data, and you can also have other information that could be potentially damaging the company itself. Just focusing on the key elements like your intellectual property, your crown jewels, your credit limits, bank account details, all these things would come out easily. So that gives you an understanding about how companies hold so much of identities, and those can be exploited by criminals. Thank you. Yeah, Suhas, back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ram. Uh, Mr. Sesh, sir, in your experience, what is the most common fraud does a company experience? The most common thing that you have experienced in the recent past with the advent of the internet and the apps as such?
Yes. There are several aspects to the various crimes that are being committed through the cyberspace. Okay, some of them are affecting personally or at a personal level, and some of them are affecting businesses at a business level, and some of them are affecting the society itself. You understand? So if these are the three classifications that we can see from a way to find solutions for this. Now, many a time when people are using their identity in the society for their own use, like shopping or online shopping or physical shopping and things like that, where they are going to use, their credit card information or mobile, they give away the mobile information, etc. So in these places, what happens is, inadvertently, the person who is seeking information will also ask for more information, not knowing the consequences. The person giving the information will also end up giving more sensitive information. Now, how to distinguish between what is sensitive information and what is not sensitive information is something that has to be made aware of. Now, if you are looking from a perspective of protection to individuals, even if you are looking back to in 2002 and 2003, when people were using these ATM cards, they did not know how an ATM card should be properly used. They did not know that fraudulent activities can take place, people can impersonate, etc. Now, just to give you an example, what used to happen was a senior citizen who did not know how to operate the ATM would give it to his driver and ask him to collect the money from the ATM. Now, what happens over a period of time, the driver or whoever the person is, could be a family member, could be a son, sister, daughter, whoever it is, might end up misusing that. Now, who is responsible for that? So, the individual knows that he might be taking a risk, but doesn't really know that he's taking a risk. So, what has happened? RBI or a regulator came up with saying that you need to educate the consumer, you need to educate the customer. So it has transferred the responsibility of the person trying to think for himself to the organization, asking the organization to educate the consumer on the fraud. So now it is so common that you don't even see, you are getting emails from various banks. Once you go to the ATM, you see a notice. Once you log on to the system, they are saying, don't share the OTP, don't share that, don't share this. We don't ask you for such information. So there is, you can see a paradigm shift that is moving from the person to the organization. Now that is from a person perspective. Now, how do organizations protect themselves? Now, if you are seeing, you already see a lot of Facebook fake accounts. See, earlier there used to be trademark violations. That means to say, I used to take a very popular product, copy their logo, almost imitate their own logo, and used to sell my product. But today it has become that much more easy with technology and other things. So what is happening? You are able to create fake websites. You are able to open fake Facebook accounts or social media accounts and use that medium to contact people, ask them for certain information, and you are going to harvest the victim. The attacker is going to harvest all the victims' information, thereby evolving to the next stage of an attack. Now, how can this be done? How can this be prevented? Yes, bigger organizations, it is possible because they have the resources, but SMEs do not have that kind of resources to protect themselves. So what is it that they have to do? They have to manipulate the wordings of their business. So for example, if you're in Google, I'm not talking of Google as Google, which is a very big company and they know how to take care of themselves. But I'm using the words so that it can be understood better. A google.com can also be a google.com with 3 O's or 4 O's. So like that, you should be able to manipulate your company's name and look if there are any social media accounts, if there are any Facebook accounts, if there are any websites. Now, these things will, you don't have to do it on a daily basis. Probably you can, it's a skill that you will develop very quickly, over a period of time. But you need to dedicate some time for this activity so that your business is not hijacked by somebody else. I can give you a very recent example. One of the biggest, you know that I work for, in Oman. One of the biggest construction companies recently got a call from an Indian engineer asking that, sir, I have received the appointment letter. When do I come and join? Only then the organization realized that something is happening, and suddenly they saw that almost 40 candidates have been issued appointment letters And when they asked for their appointment letters, they couldn't really find the difference between their letterheads, the way they communicate, and the way the people have received the appointment orders. So then they started up with a huge, awareness, saying that we have not called for any jobs. If at all you have been, we are very sorry. Of course, we cannot be held responsible for it. You should have made the same inquiry which he did later. No, they could have done it earlier before they parted with funds. Now, these criminals, no, they don't ask you for much. They will just say, give us 10,000 for processing the visa, give us 5,000 for. So that is a very realistic amount. So if they can dupe about 1,000 people, you can look at the amount of money that they have harvested. And in the process, what is it that has happened? They have also a lot of personal information. Now, another thing that I would like to advise, especially employees seeking jobs, is how much information they will be able to put on their employment portals. They try to give all information when they are trying to build up their application, just to showcase that they are the most suitable candidate for a particular job. Now, I don't know what is the solution here, but then they need to be aware how much of information they are going to give. This is at a personal level. Now, when it comes to the people who are calling for, again, they should be looking if somebody else is calling on their behalf. People will, I have received a call saying we are calling from Naukri. We have been appointed from such and such an organization, and we have shortlisted you. We are headhunters. We have seen your profile. We are very happy. We are offering that package, this package, etc. I cleared the moment they gave me a particular, job description. I knew that it was a fraud, because that is not a job I do. You understand? So what I'm trying to say is businesses also should be a little more sensitive in trying to see what kind of jobs they are offering and what kind of people could be, seeking the candidates. So in their name, the criminal is making the money. Again, this is not an easy solution. And no business entity, instead of focusing on their core business, nobody is going to spend their time or resources here. But somewhere it is a requirement that they need to show due diligence, so that not only the ordinary person becomes a victim, but they themselves don't lose their own reputation. True. Right? So I could go on for such examples, but I will stop here.
Yeah, you can always bank on your rich experience, Mr. Sesha, sir. I was earlier having a conversation with Dr. Ram with respect to say people cyber squatting. He was talking about websites being taken. There was squatters there before, and they would companies have to pay premium to take that domain later. So and also yeah.
Thanks, Suhas. I think Sesha sir has given a lot of insights. Now, particular interest, this is a very old cybercrime called cyber squatting. I don't think a current generation of folks would remember. Well, in the late 90s, this was a very easy way of, for unscrupulous people to make money. So they used to go and register the domain name of a popular brand, a popular company. And what you see here is Maruti Udyog Limited, which makes Maruti Suzuki vehicles, and a company called Maruti Software Private Limited. So they went and registered this domain, Maruti Online, and then Maruti Udyog filed a case, and then finally the judgment came in their favor, stating that the domain name was registered in bad faith, and they had as there was no evidence to suggest that the respondent intended to use the domain name for legitimate purpose. It's a very classic name. Even I heard that Maruti Udyog also was not available for a while, and they had to pay off the cyber squatter to get hold of the domain name. Same thing with Dr. Reddy's Laboratories, when they also had issues. Yahoo also had an issue in India, and even Rediff Communication. There are major cases. In Rediff case, somebody had a different, just they changed one alphabet, RA, and it created a lot of trouble. So all these things were happening, and big brands now, there is a lot of awareness, and people cannot infringe on major brands, and just like that take it away. And coming to brand identity theft, the trademark thefts are happening. Earlier, when I worked for one major healthcare company, most of their consumer, they were in consumer electronic space as well. Most of their goods used to be faked from small time vendor. They just used to buy some cheap Chinese stuff and put the company name and sell. That company had the resources to take on, but still a lot of significant losses they had to face. And we also had this curious case of very very strange case. Entire bank branch was set up in Tamil Nadu, and a few months back the police went and cracked them, and then arrested the folks. Whole idea was they wanted to do a defrauding of the unsuspecting customers by taking away their locker gold jewelry and other stuff. So this is hides how an entire organization has been conned out of their identity, and a fake branch was set up. It was ultimate. I can't believe that they really did this. Now
Uh,
coming to, yeah.
Dr. Can you go back to that slide? I would like to add something. No, the SBI slide.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I would like to add something here. How did they get caught?
Yeah, the customers were
The customer service was so good that the customer who normally goes to a state bank decided that people cannot be so good, and he made an inquiry with another SBI branch asking if this branch existed. Only then they came to know that it was a fake branch. Can you imagine that good customer service also could result in unearthing some fake identities? Please continue, sir.
yeah, this is interesting case, huh? Yeah. So we already spoke about the recruitment scams. It's a very routine thing. It's been happening for ages. So people who actually easily they can impersonate, as Sesha sir said, they can create websites, they can create letterheads for money. They will do this. So recruitment scams from a business point of view, it's all about building their brand and values. So in every job posting, they can always say if they are using, if they don't have a policy of using any agents, and it's a direct recruitment, that awareness they can create, so that people who are well informed, they don't fall for it. But of course, there will always be one set of people who might be ignorant. And rumors about backdoor entry job offers. I've heard from the early 2000s, big brand names, a lot of rumors in the market. People were going for the BPO and the call center jobs, that you pay money, you get a job in a large multinational bank as a call center executive or a BPO executive. So all these things were happening. We don't know whether it is true or not, but people fall prey to it. And of course, now we have services provided by specialist vendors who provide brand protection services. So they keep monitoring and alerting their clients if there are any impersonation attempts. And of course, if you have a social media team within your company, you can monitor, or you can outsource the service. If somebody is creating fake accounts in social media and claiming to be yourself, large companies can afford to do, or you can always outsource if you cannot have a full-fledged team in-house. And of course, have a very quick reaction PR release if to inform the general public and other stakeholders if there are any job scans done by criminals. So I don't know, this is all very easy to say, but how difficult it's going to be a challenge when you actually try to implement. But if your values are clear and you are very clear about protecting your brand name, you should definitely go the extra mile and implement. The most infamous case in recruitment scam was by the senior journalist from NDTV. We all heard about how the last year she fell for a elaborate social engineering job scam. So she came out much later when she realized that she has been completely taken for a ride. And this was a very classic case. Nobody expected a senior journalist to be so complacent and naive about a job offer that came just out of nowhere, and giving an appointment as an assistant professor in a leading university like Harvard University, right? So the thumb rule is, if it is a scam, it's a scam if it is too good to be true, right? So some of the best practices we know, if somebody is asking for money, definitely it is not a good thing. Nobody asks for money and gives you a job offer. If that's going to be that easy, then you just pay and get a job. It's not that easy, right? And if things like you don't have to have experience and job is super easy to do, and there is no real job interview happening, so you're all warning signals, they're all red flags, and you're not actively looking for job, and you just posted your your resume in a site long back and it's not active, but out of the blue you get a call, and that is something you should be worried about. Why they are targeting you? It could be a targeted attack, right? Targeted attempt to get you on board and make money or something. And the identity of the recruiter or the employer is not clear, or it could be shady. When you run any search results in Google, you don't find substantial information. You have a lot of shady stuff about them, a lot of warnings or complaints, or you find only some job postings, and it could be entirely a fake company, right? And they want you to come on board quickly, so they don't want to give you enough notice period or time. You just say just quit and come. So all these things are and also you should go by your gut feel how it feels, the entire process. So job recruitment scams are here to stay. Only people who are applying, the job seekers, have to be extremely careful. At the same time, companies also, if they are very particular about protecting their brand identity and their values, they should take the measures that I just discussed before, right? Yep. Thank you.
True. It's very easy in the internet age to get scammed, at least online.
Yeah.
But the scamsters have they study the vulnerabilities in the organization as such. And what I've heard in the recent past is that campuses are so huge that a scamster actually did a recruitment scam inside the facility of the organization. And so that added more authenticity to the interview structure as well. And he was able to give the appointment letters in uh, to the prospective people as well. So that has happened. So he had a training fee which is refundable as well. Uh, End of the day. So that also was thing. So in that case, there are a lot of vulnerabilities that companies have to look into.
I'll tell you one thing I want to add. The base for that is a misuse of identity. I know of a case, it came a few years ago in the papers, that there was this contracting company staff. The contract was cancelled, but their employee IDs were not taken back by the services company, IT services company. And this guy, the contractors, had access to the facilities because they had the ID. So they used the company facilities to run a recruitment, and after a while only it came to know that they were actually impersonating on behalf of the company as if they were real. They are authorized to do that. So all these scams are very common these days, and especially in the COVID pandemic times. It's really, really important for all job seekers, especially the youngsters. Once they complete their college, they are desperate to land a job, and those people are easy to target because they don't have the awareness, and everything is online, so you're not sure who's who, whether the call that you received is genuine. The other aspect is, so far I've come across one weird or a very, very strange case. We all think our salary information is extremely confidential and we go great lengths in not disclosing. I came across a mail. It came from a very large real estate company. Okay, it's a building promoter. It's based in Bangalore, and they have gone to the extent of subscribing to Naukri and Monster.com. And from there, they found out who are all the high net worth individuals based on just a simple search, a filtering on the salaries, and they know if somebody is 30 lakhs or 40 lakhs and above, they know they could be a clear target audience for target customers for their projects, for their real estate projects. So you see companies are also misusing subscription service for job search, and they know that these potential customer base can be targeted for selling their high-end homes, right? So that's pretty scary how information is not safe.
This is the example which I was giving, no? Which I received, and I could immediately recognize a particular skill which was not really attributable to me is what he was asking about. And that's where I realized that he is not the real company which is
Yes,
asking it.
that is one aspect. Here, the company is using a job portal for mining information of high net worth individuals.
Correct.
That is all very much scary, right?
Even your tax information is available, boss. Right?
Yeah.
I just got a call in the afternoon saying that, are you interested to buy a Lexus car? And I said, no, I'm not. Where did you get my number from? Then the person didn't ask about it. But the tax information is viable. Payable.
Yeah, true. Today, nothing is there's no privacy when you go online. Yeah.
One more thing I would like to add here is many businesses tend to have their email accounts with Gmail or Hotmail or any of the free email services. The disadvantage of this is a person who is closely following, a attacker who is closely following misuse email accounts and be able to spoof them. Yes, it is easy for us to have a business. We would not like to pay for a business email account, no doubt, but somewhere we need to draw the line, at least at some point where our revenues or our reputation should come into stake. What would happen is this Gmail, I will use the word Gmail as instead of a public email. So what happens is there is a lot of information about the organization that gets exchanged either with customers or with any others, genuine parties. But a person who will be able to hack into such an account will be able to harvest all this sensitive information. So somewhere the businesses also have to consider that they should not be using public Gmail accounts, which can in future result in this kind of attacks. And let me be very frank, the original business will never know that an attack is ongoing. That is the tragedy of this situation. So businesses need to be aware that some of their social media accounts, some of their email, Gmail, or electronic facing kind of accounts which they are using, they need to have that minimal security. What is minimal security? They'll have to go to a professional. Each one case would be different. But then they should, like it is always said, no, when something else is free, then you are the
product.
So that should not happen. Yes, please continue, Sahas.
True. So you were actually talking about a lot of fake applications that are available attributed to particular companies as such. And the companies themselves weren't aware about it, and they were authorized by Google Play and Google Store, Play Store as such. So it is safe as per the internet. However, they are actually fake apps. So true point there.
Can I add here as well? I think I explained this to you also. We were auditing an organization. It was I cannot give out the name, but it was an insurance organization. And as a part of our identity management assignment, we were looking at how if anybody can spoof their organization or activity or whatever it is. So we were trying to put a combination of the words for their websites and other things. And when we finished that, we moved into the mobile apps, and we were horrified to find the logo of that important company having more than 12 apps.
Oh,
okay, 12 apps. So if a person were to down, and all of them were, what do you say, like you said, authorized by Play Store. How Play Store could authorize without any other verifications is something that even I couldn't understand. So assuming for a moment that in a fake app, if a person had paid his premium, the premium amount is lost forever. There is no way you will be able to recover. So the logo was that of this very reputed company, but the name had small changes. Just like it was shown earlier with that rediff was a radif kind of this one, right? So that small errors which people will fall for the logo and never care to read the what do you say actual text. So this is also something that probably if any business organization has a mobile app, maybe they should like I was talking about web pages or websites, maybe they should be doing that for their mobile apps also.
True, because I think at this day and age that needs to be done, because there are a lot of apps and a lot of transactions happen via those apps. And true to the fact that you do get your SMSs as well, but you do get SMS and OTP, but it's true because you are using that app and you are authorizing that transaction. So you obviously get that OTP. So you will lose the money at the end of the day. How does the organization actually do a risk assessment on those parts? Because the internet or the app world is actually very large. So how do we bring about a governance in terms of ensuring these apps are safe and actually true, authentic?
Is the question for me?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, primarily, yeah, companies can always scan the Play Store once in a while to check if there are any duplicate apps available, they impersonating them, and then take actions to get that app removed. Mainly from a point of view of users, end users, they fall for it. All these apps is one due diligence they can always do is to check the apps with that are having similar spellings as Sesha sir was saying. So a lot of typos would be there, grammatical or spelling mistakes. They're all giveaway, right? And you can also look for some tags like editor's choice or top developer. You can also visit the publisher's website to check if it is a proper app or is it a fake one. And all these highly popular apps which we use, your Facebook and other social media apps, the count of download will be very high. If the count is very low, then it could be possibly a fake app. Then check for screenshots. Again, they would be a giveaway. And also look for the reviews and ratings. That will give an idea how the market has reacted, how other users have reacted. And the app publish date is also very important. Look for fake ones always have the recent publish date, whereas the genuine ones will always have an updated one. And look for the permissions. That's a giveaway. I've seen apps like even calculators look asking for camera access. What dumb thing it is. And too much permissions they are seeking, then probably they are actually want to spy more from the mobile. And the other thing is there has been a craze among folks who are very much who are discount seekers. They look for apps that sells products and services cheaply at a huge massive discount, something like 60% discount for perfumes and cosmetics and whatnot, all electronics and watches. It's I'm sure it could be a fake one. I mean, fake products or fake brands they could be selling, or even if they are giving away genuine goods at cheap prices, probably they could be shady sites, something they set up only for collecting your bank account or credit card details, including your CVV. So these are all the stuff. I don't think how many of us are aware, or when we just like that go and click a search in Play Store and then download. Do we look at all these things? I'm not very sure. But definitely, if something is one quick check you can do is somebody is asking too much of permissions, are they offering goods and services at a very cheap rate, then probably it should ring a bell. Yeah.
Can I add something?
Yep.
I would like to add on point number 4, checking for reviews and ratings. If you can scroll down and see the reviews and ratings, all will be 5-star. And they will all be only one-liners. The app is very good. You understand? And or at least if you are going through around 10 or 12 of these ratings, they will be so similarly worded. That means to say they are paid ratings. So once the paid ratings are given, it could be a genuine, what do you say, app, but the paid ratings will show that the app might not be giving the kind of service it is supposed to give. And it could also be a fake app that is doing this too. So a combination of these 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 items, which is serial numbers which are there, should be able to, what do you say, create the necessary awareness, both amongst the people who are trying to put an app on the Play Store and people who are trying to download an app on the Play Store. So even real businesses, when they are, I am not saying they should not pay for their reviews, but then you must really catch hold of some customers and take their inputs before you can actually put their reviews. You really need to push people to give reviews rather than pay for it. That way, the reputation of the genuine app will not be lost. And at the same time, yes, some criticism might come as a part of the app, but then that is all business. You have to take a pinch of salt with whatever the bouquets that you get. So this is what I wanted to add.
Yeah, the sad part is apps are used right, left, and center by students, teenagers, right? And even as little as 5-year kids, they go to Play Store and then download on their iPads and whatnot, all their devices. That's a sad thing. It's a very scary thing. And what if the apps are actually spying for data, or somebody is using the app to interact with the child without uh, parental surveillance? It's very scary, that kind of scenario. So always when you hand over phones or devices to kids, they are very vulnerable. So that is again one awareness for parents, how fake apps can create issues, or shady apps can create issues. Yeah.
True, sir. Thank you very much for that spotting the fake apps, because I see a lot of similar apps, banking apps and all those things, and I'm not too sure which to select now. So I'll have to contact my bank and say, okay, please let me know which one to select, because all of them seem to have good ratings now. So there are a lot of organizations which haven't woken up to the fact of social engineering that can be put into place to ensure that the business goes down. The number of employees, the poll question itself was showing that a lot of them didn't know that, okay, they can be affected by social engineering. So what does an organization can do to get the pulse of the organization, whether the organization is aware or not in terms of social engineering? And again, a lot of them do use their business emails more. So how can they safeguard that? And again, from the social engineering point of view as well. I'll start with Mr. Sesha.
This slide is with Dr. Ram, the slide which I shared with you on phishing.
Nope, not with me. So Has, can you bring that up if
Yes,
it is handy?
Okay.
You're able to bring it up?
Yeah, I'm just bringing it up. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Not it. Not it.
Okay.
Go to slide number 3.
Okay.
The third slide, yes. If you can maximize it, that would be good. Here, what I would like to show is we did a phishing campaign for a company, and we selected randomly some 48 candidates to be sent the email. Now, whenever we do such an exercise, we craft the matter. We craft the matter in such a way that it should be really attractive. So we sent 4 differently crafted emails to the same set of 48 people. Now, as you can see there, the number of participants who recognized and did not even open the email were 8 people. What you must remember or recall, or what I would like to give as a preamble to this one is, we had already conducted a phishing awareness session to the entire organization. This is despite that, as you can see, 8 people were able to recognize that it is a phishing email and did report it to their IT. And a number of participants who recognized but still were curious to open were 8 people. Now they are the dangerous people. You understand? They are going to put your business down, right? Now the rest of the people were people who just didn't understand the implication of the phishing email. So people who did not even recognize the email but opened once were 16 in number, and number of participants who did not recognize and opened the mail even for the second one were 17 people, and number of participants who did not recognize even the opened email the third time were 3 people. Now the dangerous set of people is this 3 and the 8. See, security or whatever we call it, protecting ourselves is as strong as the weakest link in the chain. And these people tend to be the weakest links for an organization. So this is what I wanted to tell you from how phishing campaign can help improve social engineering aspects for people, especially employees, because they will be dealing with so many emails that they will not be able, nobody has the time to say, am I going to get a phishing email today? No, it is a part and parcel of their job, and they'll be getting it as a routine mail, and they may end up clicking on the campaign. Yes, we do have technology-based controls, but then it is not always technology that happens to protect you. We really need the human element also as a part of that. Now that I'm into this, I would like to take you through my 3 slides here. Can we go to the first one now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think all of you have read this news where Citibank by mistake credited the principal amount to the various organizations which had made a deposit. And you know that this pertains to the Revlon group of organizations and Revlon itself. I also hope all of you know that Revlon is one of the beauty products organizations which is very much well known in the world. Okay, but then in recent times Revlon was facing a lot of problems. They were not, their earnings were not so high and things like that for the past few years and things of that kind. Here, as you can see now, this interface, the computer interface which you are able to see is coming from the early 1990s. Okay, this was something, it is not at all, maybe at that point of time it was good enough, but in today's terms, I don't think this has any visual appeal, or it does not even give you any warnings, or it doesn't made in a manner where you will be able to, interact with the user interface. Now, by mistake, the person, instead of funding the interest, sent back the principal amount. Now, in any other time, the people would have been glad to return the amount. But Revlon being what it is, the financial position today, many organizations didn't send the money. When Citibank made a request to give this money, many organizations did give away, but they were small organizations. But they got stuck with this Brigade Capital, who did not return that 176 million. When Citibank went to a court, the court also didn't agree with Citibank, and they said it is the prerogative of Brigade Capital whether to return or not. So that means to say it became so difficult for Citibank. What I'm trying to show here, I'm not talking about Citibank, I'm not talking about Brigade Capital. What I'm trying to say is, if businesses cannot progress to keep up with times, these kind of mistakes can happen, will happen, do happen. So we need to review as businesses how, see, this was a reputation loss, this was a financial loss. How are they going to make good to so many other clients about the fund that they are managing, about the people who have subscribed? So what were the reasons? One of the reasons is stress, overworked employees. The other thing that was really here is, there is always in banking a maker checker system. A person will input a transaction, and then it will be reviewed and passed by another person. In this particular case, there were two people who were checkers. Okay. So if a mistake had been done at the clerical level, then the officer or the manager should have been able to identify. But the casual approach also led to the fact that it ended up getting paid. So this was one thing. Can you come to the next slide? Yep. So this is something that I would like to show. You can see that alphabet A. So in the first one, alphabet A is a Roman alphabet, but in the second one, that A is a Greek alphabet. It is an alpha. It is not A. You understand? Now these are all the new tricks that is coming in, so that forget spelling mistakes, forget extended names, forget so many things. Now they are using Greek, Latin, and other kind of alphabets to what do you say, dupe the victim. So this is one more thing that you need to understand and ensure that your organization's name is not misused. Over to you, Suhas.
Thank you, Sesha sir. We have esteemed guests other than you all who have joined us here. Do we have any questions from the audience here today?
I see a lot of senior folks. If they can share their experience, it's most welcome. We'll all learn from everyone.
True. I think, yeah. So I have a question here saying that with respect to emails, how does one ensure that the spam filters actually work? I'm not too sure whether spam filters are very effective. And you have a lot of spoofing that is being done. So it seems to be coming from, say, Dr. Ram only. So how does one ensure that it is from a genuine email ID? So it could be from Dr. Ram's email ID only, but how do I know that it is actually Dr. Ram sending that email?
Okay, I think there are new technologies called Dmarc, right? Or Dmarc solution. It's a domain-based message authentication, reporting and conformance. That's what I think. Yeah, that's a full form. So you can use such tools to protect your business from email spoofing. And these Dmarc technology can help. So this protocol, whichever vendor is offering, you can sign up, and that would give you a lot of confidence. And anti-phishing tools like Cofense, I just don't want to take names, but I'm just giving you one name. I'm not supporting them. You can always explore the market and use which works best for you. Spam filters is just a nuisance, more than the content. It's about consent in many ways. So you have a lot of vendors who provide spam filtering. You can sign up and use that. But main thing is your identity cannot be spoofed, and also protection against phishing. So for these two, you should have strong technology tools along with a strong human firewall. That's what we call awareness for employees. It just need not should not be one-time affair when they come on board. It has to be ongoing effort. You have to gamify, make it more fun, and more importantly, the prevailing organization culture. The culture is also important, so it gives them that confidence that reporting an issue should not create a retribution or other problems to themselves. So anything they find amiss, a phishing email or a suspected phishing email or social engineering. Phishing also works on phone, right? What we call as a voice phishing or wishing. So all these things are happening. When I had my stint with a investment bank, we came across a situation where wishing was going on. So there are people calling random numbers. They just got hold of the board number, and then they know additional another 4 more numbers will lead to the desk numbers. So they were calling and asking as if they were some reporters or some about inside information. So luckily people were trained and they were able to immediately report. So that culture of reporting anything unusual to the concerned help desk, that is important. And more importantly, the leadership commitment to security compliance is very important. So leadership by example is important, especially in a multinational work culture. The rules should apply to everyone. Now, what I unfortunately come across is the senior the person, the rules are different. The ethnicity of the person, if he comes from a parent company abroad, they are dealt with kid gloves. So that gives a wrong messaging down the line. So that is also very important. So along with the technology, you have processes and also the awareness, for the people aspect. All these three plus the speed with which these things can be reported also matters a lot. Yeah.
Okay. On the flip side, I have a question here. It says that right now it is more difficult for companies to run email campaigns because there are a lot of restrictions. Thank you, Gerald, for that. Right now, even genuine parties are not able to send out or have an email campaign for their products as such because of such restrictions. Sorry, Sesha, sir, you were saying something.
Yeah, I can answer both of them to the extent I know. Dmarc is a technology which which recognizes the domain, and in a manner that the same domain name cannot be spoofed from outside. So what if you are not having a Dmarc protection, you might get an outside email which is as if your internal domain, like as if your finance manager or a CEO or a very high-ranking official has been sent an email to you. Now with the Dmarc, this is not possible if it is coming from an external source. That is the major advantage with Dmarc is going to bring. But still, that doesn't stop certain other spoofings. The other spoofings, if at all, has to be stopped. One of the first things that people as organizations, even if they have the simplest of the firewalls, that they have to do is they have to stop they have to start whitelisting and blacklisting domains and email accounts so that they are very sure that only legitimate accounts do come in. Now, it might happen that in this process, one of the major feeling of risk for businesses is I might lose an opportunity which is coming all the way from a strange person. So how can I miss out this opportunity? So then that's exactly where the rules have to be created in such a manner that what is whitelisted is allowed, but what is blacklisted or grey listed is verified even before it is forwarded to the right person. So all these things need investment, need resources, need people. SME segment might find it a little difficult, but then today you are having subscription-based services who will be able to take care of this. then these subscription-based services, yes, you can determine or you can have stringent SLAs with them and be able to use it. They do help in the long run. Saying that I cannot afford the subscription fee might not be a justified approach. It is not that I am telling because I'm an information security professional, or it is not that because I'm offering such services, but then this is something that every business, however medium, very small, I am not really suggesting this, medium to slightly larger than medium is one thing that has to be done. The next thing that about spam and this one is, what are we bothered about a spam? There are 2 or 3 aspects about a spam. The spam, you don't know whether it is a genuine email, so you spend time in opening and reading it, so there is loss of productivity. Other than that, there is no other harm. But if it is a spam that has a clickable link, a hyperlink, now that is a problem because it might lead to a spurious website. So these spamming software should be able to remove the hyperlink or permit the recipient to accept the hyperlink, which means to say that it's a 2-step process. If the person is well aware that the email is not from a legitimate source, then he will not enable the links. Same thing with attachments. If he wants to see the attachment or a picture or an image that has come along with that, he has to accept it. But if the organization can decide that any such this one should not be allowed, they can remove the attachments as well as the hyperlinks, so that it can be the recipient's wish whether he has to read the message or not. Then take it up with the IT that it is a genuine email, and then IT also has to have some kind of a sandboxing where they will test it before it can be opened. So these are some of the things that I would suggest for ordinary businesses.
Thank you, sir. Sesha, sir, I think you have chosen the background very aptly. Just like the ocean of knowledge that you have, you passing out that information in waves to us. Thank you very much, Sesha, sir, and thank you, Dr. Ram. This has been a productive session, and in fact, I have learned a lot with respect to safeguarding the business as such with certain tips. I think so. This is not a one session or a 1 hour session. It has to be a couple of more sessions to get into the depth of how to safeguard, because there are a lot of things that we haven't discussed yet, like shell companies, the risks from them, the reputational risks and all those things. But I would like to take this opportunity to thank you once again for gracing our Phoenix Resilience Series.
We also should thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Yeah, same here. I echo that. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. See you. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Suhas.
Thank you, Suhas. Thank you, Ram.
Thank you. Welcome.